All right, today we're breaking down a really fascinating document that's part tech blueprint, part legal application. We're going to look at how these super ambitious crypto projects are trying to build the next version of the internet, but now they have to play by a brand new set of rules.
So let's kick things off with the one massive question that pretty much everyone in Web3 is trying to answer. How do you actually build something for a billion people on a decentralized network without the whole thing just grinding to a halt?
You know, the dream of Web3 is incredible, right? An internet that's decentralized and owned by its users. But the reality? For a lot of the cool stuff, like games or social media, it just hits a wall. The networks can be painfully slow and really expensive, which is a huge problem if you want millions of people to actually use it.
And that really gets to the core of it. This is the single biggest hurdle for Web3, what everyone calls the scalability problem. I mean, if you want to bring the next billion users online, you got to have a network that can handle the traffic.
Okay, so what's the solution? How are projects trying to fix this? Well, let's zoom in on one company's answer. Enter Somnia, and its pretty ambitious vision for what a high-speed, decentralized internet could look like. And Somnia comes out swinging with a pretty massive claim. The paper says its network is built to handle over 400,000 transactions every single second. I mean, that's a speed that could easily run huge mainstream apps without even breaking a sweat.
And this is really the why behind that big number. The goal isn't just about being fast for the sake of being fast. It's about getting the best of both worlds. You know, giving you that super smooth, quick experience you get from today's apps, but building it all on an open, decentralized foundation.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty. What is Somnia, really? The paper calls it a Layer 1 blockchain, which just means it's a fundamental base layer network. It's also EVM compatible, which is just a techie way of saying that developers who build on Ethereum can easily bring their work over. The best way to think of it is like a brand new, super fast operating system for decentralized apps. But a network like this can't run on air, right? It needs fuel. And that brings us to the engine that powers the whole Somnia ecosystem, the SOMI token. So what's its job? The paper lays out three main jobs for the SOMI token. First, you've got staking, where you can lock up your tokens to help keep the network secure and get rewards for it. Then there's governance, which gives you a say in where the project goes next. And finally, it's used for payments. It's the gas that makes the whole thing run, paying for every transaction on the network.
Now, this is super important, especially with all the new regulations. The white paper goes out of its way to make this crystal clear. This is a utility token. It's meant to be used on the network. It is absolutely not a stock in the company. That's a crucial line in the sand.
All right, let's talk about the economics of the token, what folks call tokenomics. It's all built around a hard cap. The document says a total of 1 billion SOMI tokens is the absolute max that will ever be created. That's it. No more can be made, which is meant to create a predictable economy from day one.
And all this talk about rules and legal clarity brings us to a really key point. The reason this document even exists in this form, it's all because of a whole new rulebook that's just come into play across Europe. It's called MiCAR, which stands for Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation. The easiest way to think about it is like a brand new, comprehensive rulebook for all things crypto in the European Union. Its whole purpose is to make projects lay all their cards on the table about what they're building, who's behind it, and crucially, what the risks are.
So here's the kicker. This whole document we're looking at, it's not just a technical deep dive. It's actually Somnia's official application to comply with MiCAR. They're basically saying, hey, we're following the new rules, so our tokens should be allowed to trade on regulated exchanges here in Europe. And because of these new rules, they have to be totally transparent about who's running the show. The paper spells it out. The token issuer is a company in the British Virgin Islands, which is owned by the Somnia Foundation based in the Cayman Islands. With MiCAR, you can't really hide this stuff anymore. It's all out in the open.
And finally, maybe the biggest part of this new rulebook is about being brutally honest. Projects now have to tell you straight up what the potential risks are if you get involved.
First up, market risk. The paper doesn't pull any punches. It basically says the price of SOMI can swing wildly, and there's no guarantee you'll be able to sell it whenever you want for the price you want. It's entirely driven by the market.
Next up, you've got technology risk. Even though they say the code has been audited and everything looks good, they're also upfront that this is super complex stuff. Bugs, vulnerabilities, these things are always a possibility.
And then there's just plain old project risk. You know, things like missing deadlines or another blockchain coming along that's faster or better. It's an incredibly competitive space, and the paper fully acknowledges that.
But here's the thing. They don't just list the dangers and walk away. A huge part of this is explaining how they plan to deal with them. We're talking regular security checks, open and transparent decision-making, and rolling things out step by step to catch any issues early.
So what's the big takeaway here? What we're really seeing is this collision of two worlds. Incredibly powerful, ambitious new technology meeting serious, real-world regulation on a huge scale. And it really makes you wonder, is this the combination, this mix of innovation and clear rules that finally takes this whole Web3 idea to the masses?